Have you ever just looked at your computer and felt like technology is, well, just one big chaotic mess? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on how IT pros manage to turn all that chaos into order. And here's a spoiler. It's not magic. It's a skill, a secret weapon that, honestly, anyone can learn. So let's dive right in.
Okay, picture this. A computer dies, an app freezes up, the entire network just goes down. What is the very first thing you do? Seriously, take a second and think about it. Is it turning it off and on again? Maybe? Checking the cables? If that was your guess, you are definitely not alone. But that's not how the pros do it. There's a much more effective, much more structured way to tackle pretty much any tech problem, whether it's big or small. To really get their secret, we first have to kind of reframe what an IT specialist actually does. They're not just fixers. They're more like detectives, right? They're solving puzzles by following clues all the way to the root of the problem. And it all kicks off by understanding the difference between these three key ideas.
Okay, this is where the professional mindset really kicks in. An amateur might get totally focused on that blue screen of death, the symptom. But a pro understands the real business problem. The consequence is that the user can't do their job. So the best first move might just be to give them a different computer. You see? You solve the consequence first, then you can dig in and figure out the root cause.
Now, before a specialist even starts troubleshooting, they're already relying on a core set of skills. You can think of these as the fundamental tools they bring with them to every single problem they face. It all starts with that problem-solving mindset, that natural curiosity to figure things out, methodically. Next up is communication, which is absolutely critical for getting clear info from users and then explaining the solution without a bunch of confusing jargon. Then you've got organization to keep your notes and tools straight. And finally, and this is a big one, because tech never, ever stops changing, you have to be a lifelong learner. These are the foundations. But the real secret weapon, the thing that brings structure to all that chaos, is a repeatable process, a battle plan, if you will. This is what truly separates the professionals from the people who, let's be honest, just try a bunch of random things until something, maybe, works. And this is it. This is the plan, the CompTIA 6-step troubleshooting methodology. Now, CompTIA is an organization that sets industry standards for IT, and believe me, their process is the gold standard. It's a super clear roadmap that takes you all the way from figuring out what's wrong to documenting the fix so it never has to be solved from scratch again. The key here is to follow these steps, in order, every single time. So, what do you say we put this plan into action? We're going to walk through a real-world scenario, step by step, just to see how this whole methodology actually works in practice.
All right, step 1, identify the problem. So, a user calls and says their computer isn't working. You know the drill. By asking the right questions, you learn their computer is actually on, but they can't open a specific project file. You ask what's changed recently, and you find out the file is on a server located across town at headquarters. And, of course, before you do anything else, you make absolutely sure their data is backed up.
Step 2 is where you put on your detective hat, establish a theory. You start brainstorming. Is the app broken? Could it be their local computer? Or, hey, since that file is all the way across town, could it be the network connection to headquarters? That sounds like a pretty solid theory of probable cause. Okay, step 3. We have to test that theory. You don't just guess here, you run a real diagnostic, like a connection test, to see if you can even reach that server at headquarters. And the test fails. A little bit of research and bingo, you find out the entire headquarters building is dealing with a power outage right now. And this right here, this brings us to a really critical fork in the road. Our test confirmed our theory. The network connection is definitely the issue. So, what's our next move? This is that fork in the road. Because our theory was confirmed, we can move on and create a plan. But what if our test had failed? What if the connection test had actually worked? Well, we wouldn't just keep guessing. We'd go back, form a new theory, and test that. Or maybe we'd escalate the issue to someone with more expertise. See? It's a logical process, not a random one. So, on to step 4. Create a plan and implement it. Now, obviously, we can't fix a citywide power outage ourselves, so our plan has to shift to communication and managing the situation. You proactively call the user and their supervisor, explain what's going on, and set the expectation that you'll update them as soon as the power is back on. Now, when you're making a plan, it's usually going to fall into one of these 3 buckets. Can you repair it? And is it worth the cost? Should you just replace it? Or can you find a temporary workaround to keep the user productive?
In our power outage example, the plan is basically a wait for the repair kind of workaround.
Step 5. Verify functionality. This step is so important, but it gets skipped all the time. Once the power finally comes back on at headquarters, you don't just assume everything is fine and close the ticket. No way. You follow up with that user and have them confirm, yep, I can open my file now and everything is working perfectly. Only then is the job actually done.
But hold on, we're not quite done yet. There is one final step. This is the one that transforms a single fix into a powerful tool for your entire team. You've got to document your victory. Just let that sink in for a second. Every single time you solve a problem, you create knowledge. By documenting the symptoms, the cause, and the solution in a trouble ticket system or knowledge base, you are helping out your future self and every other technician on your team. You're building a whole library of solutions so you never have to solve the same problem from scratch again.
So, there you have it. The secret weapon isn't some magic tool, it's a methodical process. It's a way of thinking that turns pure chaos into crystal clarity. It transforms you from just a fixer into a true problem solver. So the only question left is, what problem are you going to solve next?